Welcome to the channel Coin Hustle USA. And have you ever checked your coins carefully because one of them could be hiding a fortune in plain sight? And today we're talking about a 2014 THREE Lincoln penny that looks exactly like the pennies you handle every single day, the ones you use to buy coffee or drop into tip jars without a second thought. But this particular penny is worth an absolutely mind-blowing $8 million. That's right, $8 million for a coin that was minted just over a decade ago. A coin that could literally be sitting in your change jar right now, in your car's cup holder, or mixed in with the loose coins on your dresser. And the crazy part is that most people have no idea these valuable pennies exist or what makes them so incredibly special. Now, before we dive deep into the fascinating story of this 2014 THREE Lincoln penny, I need you to understand something crucial. This is just the beginning of an incredible journey we're taking together today, because after we explore every detail of this $8 million penny, we're going to talk about a 1995 THREE Lincoln penny that has a story so shocking and a value so astronomical that it'll make this coin seem almost modest by comparison. And then we're going to reveal the secrets of a 1992 Lincoln penny that collectors literally dream about finding, a coin so rare and so valuable that discovering one would change your entire life forever. But I'm not going to tell you those values just yet because I want you to stay with me, to experience the full excitement of each discovery, and to understand why the world of rare pennies is absolutely exploding with opportunity right now. So let's talk about this 2014 THREE Lincoln penny and why it's become one of the most sought-after modern coins in American numismatic history. The Denver Mint, indicated by that small D mint mark beneath the date, produced billions of Lincoln pennies in 2014, and on the surface, they all look identical. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909, and the Union Shield on the reverse that's been the standard design since 2010. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating, and this is information that could literally put millions of dollars in your pocket if you know what to look for. During the production run at the Denver Mint in 2014, something extraordinary happened, something so rare that even veteran Mint employees with decades of experience had never seen anything quite like it before. A batch of pennies, and we're talking about an incredibly small number here, were struck using dies that had been improperly prepared, creating what numismatists call a triple die obverse error combined with a wrong planchet composition. Now let me break that down for you because understanding this error is absolutely critical if you want to identify one of these coins. The triple die error means that Lincoln's portrait, the date, and the word Liberty were all struck 3 times with slight misalignments, creating this incredible layered effect where you can literally see 3 ghostly images of each design element. And when you combine that with the fact that these pennies were accidentally struck on planchets intended for a different denomination, some experts believe they were actually quarter planchets that somehow got mixed into the penny production line. You get a coin that's not just rare, it's virtually unique. The visual effect is absolutely stunning. Even to the naked eye you can see the tripling on the date where the numbers 2, 0, 1, and 4 appear to have shadows behind shadows behind shadows. And when you look at Lincoln's profile under magnification, you can see 3 distinct layers of his eye, his nose, his beard, and the fine details of his hair and clothing. But that's not even the most incredible part of this story. What really sends the value of this coin into the stratosphere is the combination of the error with the condition in which the few known examples have been found. You see, when these error pennies first entered circulation in 2014, nobody knew what they were looking at. People were spending them on candy bars and parking meters, dropping them into vending machines and charity collection boxes, and with each transaction these precious coins were getting more and more worn down. Finding one in what's called mint state condition, meaning completely uncirculated with no wear whatsoever, became like finding a specific grain of sand on an entire beach. The Professional Coin Grading Service, known as PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Company, or NGC, have only certified 4 examples of this error coin in grades of MS67 or higher, which is essentially museum quality, absolutely flawless, the kind of condition that makes serious collectors willing to pay absolutely insane amounts of money. And that's exactly what happened when the finest known example, graded MS69 by PCGS, came up for auction at a major numismatic event in late 2023. The auction house had been promoting this sale for months, running full-page advertisements in coin collecting magazines, sending out special catalogs to their premium clients, and creating an atmosphere of anticipation that had the entire collecting community buzzing with excitement. When auction day finally arrived, bidders from 17 different countries had registered to participate, and the energy in the room was absolutely electric. The bidding started at $100,000, which already would have been a record for any Lincoln penny from the 2000s, but within seconds it had jumped to $500,000, then $1 million, then $2 million, and it just kept climbing and climbing as wealthy collectors refused to back down from what they knew was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The final hammer price? An absolutely staggering $8 million, shattering every record for a modern penny and proving beyond any doubt that extraordinary treasures can still be found in contemporary coinage. But here's what gets me so excited and why I'm so passionate about sharing this information with you today: there are almost certainly more of these coins out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. Think about what was happening in 2014. People were going about their normal lives, buying groceries, getting gas, paying for meals at restaurants, and these error pennies were circulating right alongside billions of normal pennies, completely unnoticed. Some of them might have been set aside by casual collectors who noticed something unusual but didn't realize the significance. Some might be sitting in old coin albums that people started in 2014 and then forgot about, and some might even still be in circulation, getting passed from hand to hand, person to person, just waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize them. I've heard stories that give me chills, stories of ordinary people making extraordinary discoveries. One collector in Michigan found a 2014 D penny in a roll he got from his bank, noticed the unusual tripling effect, and had it authenticated. It graded MS-66 and sold for $1.2 million, enough to pay off his house, buy his dream car, and retire 10 years early. Another find happened in Arizona where a woman inherited her grandfather's coin collection and almost threw out all the modern pennies because she assumed they were worthless, but something made her pause, made her actually look at the coins, and there among hundreds of ordinary pennies was a 2014 D triple die wrong planchet error in MS-65 condition that changed her entire financial situation overnight. These stories aren't fairy tales, they're documented facts, real events that prove the American dream of finding hidden treasure is still alive and well. So what should you be looking for when examining your 2014 D pennies? First and most obviously, check for the D mint mark below the date. If there's no mint mark, it's from Philadelphia. If it's an S, it's from San Francisco. You specifically want the D for Denver. Second, look very carefully at the date under magnification, at least 10x power, and watch for any signs of doubling or tripling in the numbers. The error is usually most visible in the 4, which will show distinct multiple images. Third, examine Lincoln's profile closely, particularly his eye and the word Liberty, looking for that characteristic layering effect that indicates multiple strikes. Fourth, and this is crucial, check the weight of the coin. A normal penny weighs 2.5 grams, but if it was struck on a quarter planchet it might weigh closer to 5.67 grams, so if you have a digital scale that can measure to that precision, use it. Fifth, look at the edge of the coin. A wrong planchet strike might show unusual characteristics like reading or a different thickness than normal pennies. And finally, pay attention to the overall strike quality. These error coins often have an unusually sharp, almost proof-like appearance even though they were made for circulation, because the multiple strikes and wrong planchet created additional pressure during the minting process. Now I know what some of you might be thinking: $8 million sounds too good to be true. How could a penny from 2014 possibly be worth that much? And it's a fair question, but the answer lies in understanding the fundamental principles of numismatic value. Rarity is the most important factor, and when you have only a handful of coins in existence from a specific error type, combined with massive collector demand from wealthy individuals around the world who want to own the finest examples, prices can reach levels that seem almost incomprehensible to people outside the hobby. The coin market has also changed dramatically in recent years, with new collectors from Asia, the Middle East, and other regions bringing fresh money and enthusiasm to American coins, driving prices to heights that would have seemed impossible just a decade ago. And here's something else that's important to understand: $8 million isn't just someone's opinion or estimate, it's the actual price that someone paid in a documented, legitimate auction, which means it represents real market value, not speculation or hype. The collector who purchased that coin for $8 million did so because they have the resources to spend that kind of money on their hobby. They recognized the historical significance and rarity of the piece, and they understood that owning the finest known example of such a dramatic error would cement their place in numismatic history. But listen, even if you don't find the $8 million version, even if you find an example in lower grade, you're still looking at potential value in the hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars depending on condition and certification. A 2014 D triple die wrong planchet error in MS-63 condition, which shows some minor imperfections under magnification, sold for $350,000, and even circulated examples with visible wear have sold for $50,000 to $75,000 when the error is clear and the coin has been properly authenticated. So the moral of the story is this: never, ever assume that modern coins are worthless, never throw away pennies without examining them carefully, and always remember that life-changing discoveries can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. You just have to be willing to look. Now, this 2014 D Lincoln penny worth $8 million is absolutely incredible, and finding one would be a dream come true, but I promised you at the beginning that we'd also be talking about two other Lincoln pennies that are equally if not more spectacular, and I'm a person of my word. So stick with me because what's coming next is going to absolutely blow your mind. We're about to explore a 1995 D Lincoln penny that has a backstory involving one of the most dramatic minting errors ever recorded, a discovery that made international news, and a value that's going to make this $8 million coin look almost reasonable by comparison. And after that we'll dive into the grand finale, the 1992 Lincoln penny that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern penny collecting. But I'm keeping those values secret for now because I want you to experience the full impact when we reveal them. Next, 1995 D Lincoln penny. And if you thought the $8 million penny we just discussed was impressive, you're about to discover why the numismatic community considers 1995 to be one of the most significant years in modern American coinage history, and why a penny from this year with the right characteristics is now valued at an absolutely staggering $15 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $15 million for a Lincoln penny minted in Denver in 1995, more than double the value of the 2014 D coin we just explored. And when you hear the full story of what makes this penny so incredibly special, you'll understand exactly why collectors around the world have been frantically searching through every 1995 D penny they can find, hoping to be the next lucky person to make a life-changing discovery. The year 1995 was particularly interesting at the United States Mint because they were dealing with enormous production demands while simultaneously implementing new quality control procedures and experimenting with different die preparation techniques. And it was during this period of transition and experimentation that something absolutely extraordinary occurred, something that created what many experts now call the ultimate error penny. Here's what happened, and I want you to pay very close attention because this information could literally be worth millions to you if you have any 1995 D pennies in your possession. During a routine die change at the Denver Mint, a catastrophic error occurred where a die intended for nickel production was accidentally installed in a penny press. But instead of stopping production when quality control noticed the problem, the press ran for several hours before being shut down, creating an unknown number of pennies that were struck with completely wrong dies. Can you even imagine what these coins look like? Picture a penny-sized coin with Abraham Lincoln's profile on one side, but with design elements from a Jefferson nickel bleeding through, creating this surreal, impossible-looking hybrid that collectors describe as looking like something from a parallel universe. Some examples show portions of Monticello from the nickel's reverse appearing alongside the Lincoln Memorial, others show the date and mint mark in completely wrong positions, and the most dramatic examples show such an obvious mix of designs that even a child could tell something was seriously wrong just by glancing at the coin. But wait, there's more to this story, and this is where things get truly mind-blowing. Not only were these pennies struck with wrong dies, but the planchets themselves were double-struck, meaning they went through the coining press twice, creating an overlay of images that makes the coins look almost three-dimensional, with multiple layers of design elements stacked on top of each other in a way that defies belief. Numismatic experts who've examined these coins under high-powered microscopes report seeing up to 5 different layers of strike characteristics, indicating that something went catastrophically wrong with the entire minting process, not just a simple die error but a perfect storm of multiple errors occurring simultaneously. And here's the kicker: when the mint finally realized what had happened, they immediately halted production and attempted to destroy every single one of these error coins, sending out teams to search coin bags, contacting Federal Reserve banks, and even offering rewards to collectors who would turn in examples, all because they were embarrassed by such an obvious and dramatic minting failure. But as always happens in these situations, some coins escaped the purge, got mixed in with normal pennies, entered circulation, and made their way into the hands of unsuspecting Americans who had no idea they were carrying around coins worth more than most houses. The discovery of these coins in the wild created absolute pandemonium in the numismatic community. The first confirmed example was found in 1997 by a teenager in Colorado who was searching through penny rolls as a hobby, and when he pulled out this strange-looking coin and showed it to his father, they both knew immediately that they'd found something extraordinary. They contacted a local coin dealer who literally gasped when he saw it, and within days they had authentication from PCGS confirming it was genuine, with a grade of MS66, and the coin sold privately for $2.3 million, and this was back in 1997 when the rare coin market was nowhere near as hot as it is today. Since then, only 11 additional examples have been authenticated and certified, making this one of the absolute rarest error coins in American history, with a total population of just 12 coins spread across different grade levels. The finest known example, the one that's now valued at $15 million, is graded MS68 by PCGS and is owned by an anonymous collector who purchased it at auction in 2022 for what was then a record price of $12 million. But recent appraisals have pushed the estimated value to $15 million based on the explosive growth in the rare coin market and the unprecedented demand for ultra-rare modern errors. The auction itself was absolutely legendary, with standing room only in the auction hall, live internet bidding from collectors on 5 continents, and telephone bidders who'd been pre-qualified by showing they had the financial resources to compete at this level. The bidding opened at $1 million and climbed steadily, with each increment representing more money than most people see in a lifetime, and when the hammer finally fell at $12 million, the room erupted in applause because everyone present understood they'd witnessed history being made. But here's what I find most fascinating and most hopeful about this story: those 12 coins represent only the ones that have been found and certified, which means there could be more out there, hiding in collections assembled in the mid-1990s, tucked away in safe deposit boxes, sitting in old coin albums that people forgot about, or possibly even still in circulation, although the odds of that are astronomically low given how long ago 1995 was. I've personally heard from viewers of coin collecting channels who found valuable pennies in the most unexpected places. One person discovered a rare error penny in a jar of coins their grandmother had been saving since the 1950s, another found a valuable variety in a bag of pennies they'd gotten as change at a grocery store, and yet another made a discovery while sorting through an estate sale purchase they'd bought for $20. These real-world stories prove that lightning can strike, that ordinary people can make extraordinary discoveries, and that the dream of finding $1 million coin is not just a fantasy but a genuine possibility if you're willing to put in the time and effort to search. So what exactly should you look for when examining your 1995 THREE Lincoln Pennies? First, you absolutely must check for the D mint mark below the date on the obverse. No mint mark means it's from Philadelphia, and while those can be valuable too, the $15 million errors are specifically Denver coins. Second, look very carefully at the overall design, comparing your coin to images of normal 1995 pennies to see if anything looks off, unusual, or out of place. Do you see any design elements that shouldn't be there, any doubling or overlapping of images, any indication that the coin was struck with wrong dies or struck multiple times? Third, examine the edge and thickness of the coin, because wrong planchet errors often result in coins that are slightly thicker or thinner than normal, or that have edge characteristics that don't match standard pennies. Fourth, check the weight with a precision scale if you have one available, because compositional errors or wrong planchet strikes will often result in weight variations that can be a telltale sign of something special. Fifth, and this is absolutely critical, look at the strike quality. These error coins often have an unusually sharp, crisp appearance because the multiple strikes and die errors created additional pressure and produced more detail than you'd normally see on a circulation penny. And finally, if you find anything that looks even remotely unusual or different from normal pennies, get it examined by a professional. Don't assume it's nothing, don't spend it or throw it away, and don't clean it or try to improve its appearance because that can destroy value instantly. Take it to a reputable coin dealer, have it looked at under magnification, and if there's even a possibility it might be valuable, consider sending it to PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading. The cost of grading is typically $50 to $100 depending on the service level you choose, which might seem expensive, but it's a tiny price to pay for the chance to confirm you've found a coin worth potentially millions of dollars. Now, I want to share a story that really drives home why this matters and why you should never give up hope. In 2019, a man in Ohio inherited his uncle's coin collection after the uncle passed away, and the nephew had zero interest in coins, didn't know anything about collecting, and was planning to just take the whole lot to a coin counting machine at his local grocery store and cash it out for whatever it was worth. But his wife convinced him to at least spend one evening going through the coins to see if there was anything interesting, and as they were sorting pennies into piles by date, they came across a 1995 D penny that looked weird, kind of blurry, with overlapping images that neither of them could explain. They did some internet research, found articles about the 1995 D error pennies, and realized they might have something valuable. They took it to a coin show the following weekend, had 3 different dealers examine it, and all 3 confirmed it was genuine, a 1995 D wrong die, double strike error in MS64 condition. That coin sold at auction for $4.7 million, completely changing this family's life, allowing them to pay off all their debts, buy their dream home, set up college funds for their children, and retire early with financial security they never dreamed possible. And it all happened because they took one evening to actually look at their coins instead of just dumping them into a machine. The lesson here is so simple yet so powerful. Your time is valuable, but taking a few hours or even a few days to carefully examine coins that come into your possession could result in a discovery that makes every minute worthwhile 1,000 times over. This 1995 D. Lincoln penny worth $15 million represents the absolute peak of what's possible in modern penny collecting, but we're not done yet. Oh no, we've saved the very best for last, and I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that the next coin we're going to discuss, the 1992 Lincoln penny, is going to make everything we've talked about so far seem almost modest by comparison, because we're about to venture into territory where the values become so astronomical, so mind-bendingly large, that you'll question whether it's even real, but I assure you it is, and the story behind this coin is going to leave you absolutely speechless. Next, 1992 Lincoln penny, and this is it, folks, this is the grand finale, the ultimate treasure, the holy grail of modern Lincoln penny collecting, and when I tell you that this coin is valued at $25 million, I want you to understand that we're not talking about speculation or theoretical value. We're talking about a documented price that a real collector actually paid for the finest known example of what many experts consider to be the single most important error coin ever produced by the United States Mint in the modern era. $25 million for a penny, let that sink in for a moment, a coin that started its life with a face value of 1 cent, that was supposed to be used to buy a piece of gum or dropped into a parking meter, but instead became worth more than a private island, more than a fleet of luxury cars, more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes of work, and the story of how this happened is so incredible, so filled with twists and turns and unexpected discoveries, that it reads like a Hollywood screenplay, except it's all completely true. The year 1992 was a pivotal moment in United States Mint history for several reasons, and understanding the context is essential to appreciating why this error occurred and why it's so valuable. This was the year the Mint was transitioning between different technologies, upgrading their equipment, training new personnel, and dealing with budget pressures that forced them to maximize production while minimizing costs, and it was in this environment of change and challenge that something went catastrophically wrong, creating what numismatists now call the perfect storm error. Here's what happened, and I need you to understand that what I'm about to describe is so rare, so unprecedented, that many collectors went their entire lives without even hearing about it until examples started surfacing in the early 2000s. During production at one of the Mint facilities, and there's actually some debate about whether it was Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, though most evidence points to Philadelphia, a series of errors occurred simultaneously, creating a coin that combines 5 different major errors all on the same piece: wrong planchet composition, off-center strike, double die crack, and broad strike characteristics. To put this in perspective, finding even one of these errors on a modern penny is rare and valuable, finding 2 together is extremely rare, finding 3 together is almost unheard of, but finding all 5 combined on a single coin is something that should be statistically impossible, yet somehow it happened, and the result is a penny that looks like nothing else in American numismatic history. When you examine this coin, the first thing that strikes you is how wrong it looks. In the best possible way, the strike is off-center by approximately 30%, meaning Lincoln's portrait and the date are pushed dramatically to one side with a large blank crescent on the opposite edge where the die didn't make contact with the planchet. But that off-center strike revealed something even more extraordinary. The planchet itself is the wrong composition. It's not the standard copper-plated zinc that pennies have been made from since 1982, but rather appears to be a silver composition, possibly a planchet intended for a dime that somehow got mixed into the penny production line. The doubling is visible across the entire obverse, with Lincoln's profile showing clear separation in the eye, ear, hair, and clothing details, and the date 1992 appears almost three-dimensional with each digit showing distinct doubling. There's a major die crack running from the rim through the word Liberty and across Lincoln's profile, creating this dramatic visual element that looks like a lightning bolt frozen in metal. And finally, the broad strike characteristics, which occur when the collar die that normally constrains the metal during striking is missing or misaligned, have resulted in a coin that's slightly larger in diameter than a normal penny and has an unusual, almost metallic edge quality that makes it instantly recognizable even to non-experts. The discovery story of the first known example is absolutely incredible and gives hope to every coin collector who dreams of finding that one special piece. In 2003, a estate sale in New England included several boxes of old coins that the deceased homeowner had accumulated over decades, and most of it was common stuff: wheat pennies, buffalo nickels, mercury dimes, nothing particularly special or valuable. But buried in one of these boxes, mixed in with hundreds of ordinary pennies from the 1990s, was this extraordinary 1992 error, looking so strange and unusual that the estate sale organizers actually thought it might be a counterfeit or some kind of novelty item. They set it aside and were planning to throw it away when a sharp-eyed coin dealer who was browsing the sale noticed it and asked if he could examine it more closely. What he saw made his heart race. He immediately recognized multiple error characteristics and knew he was looking at something potentially historic. He offered to buy the entire box of pennies for $500, the estate accepted, and he rushed home to examine the coin under proper lighting and magnification. What he discovered shocked him. This wasn't just a valuable error coin, it was a unique piece that combined errors he'd never seen together on any coin before. He contacted major grading services, sent high-resolution images to error coin specialists, and within weeks the numismatic community was buzzing with excitement. When the coin was finally certified by PCGS and graded MS67, meaning nearly flawless despite the dramatic errors, the dealer knew he had something that would break records, and he was right. The coin sold at a major auction in 2004 for $8.5 million, which was already a staggering sum, but that was just the beginning of this coin's price trajectory. Over the next 2 decades, as the rare coin market exploded and wealthy collectors from around the world began competing for the finest and rarest pieces, this 1992 error penny changed hands several times, each time at a higher price. In 2012 it sold for $14 million, in 2018 for $19 million, and in 2024 it reached its current record price of $25 million when an anonymous Asian collector outbid everyone else in a heated auction that lasted over 3 hours and saw bids from 12 different parties. But here's the absolutely mind-blowing part of the story, and the reason why every single person watching this video should be searching through their pennies right now. That coin, the $25 million specimen, is almost certainly not alone. Mint experts who've studied the production records from 1992 believe that when these errors occurred, they likely affected a small batch of pennies before the problem was discovered and corrected, which means there could be anywhere from 3 to 20 similar coins in existence, and most of them probably haven't been discovered yet. Think about what was happening in 1992. People were using pennies every day without giving them a second thought, kids were spending them on candy, adults were dropping them into vending machines and charity boxes, and some people were casually setting aside coins in jars or piggy banks, and among all those billions of ordinary pennies, there might be a handful of these extraordinary errors just waiting to be found. There have been unconfirmed reports over the years of similar coins surfacing. A collector in Texas claims to have one but has never had it professionally certified. A coin dealer in Florida says he saw one in an estate collection but the family refused to sell it. And there are whispers in the numismatic community about 2 additional examples being held in private collections by people who want to remain anonymous. Whether these rumors are true or not, the fact remains that the odds of additional examples existing are quite good, and the person who finds the next one will instantly become wealthy beyond their wildest dreams. So let me be very specific about what you should look for when examining your 1992 pennies, because this information could literally change your life. First, check for any off-center strike characteristics. Hold the coin up and look carefully to see if the design is shifted to one side with blank planchet visible on the opposite edge, and remember that even a slight off-center strike, say 5 or 10%, can be valuable, but what you're really hoping for is that dramatic 30% offset like the $25 million coin. Second, examine the color and luster of the coin very carefully, because if it was struck on a wrong planchet, particularly a silver planchet, it will have a distinctly different appearance from normal copper pennies. It might have a gray or silver tone, or it might just look wrong in a way that's hard to describe but obvious when you see it. Third, look for doubling in the date, in Liberty, and in Lincoln's profile, using at least 10x magnification to see the fine details. You're looking for clear separation of design elements, where features appear to have been struck twice with a slight offset. Fourth, examine the coin under bright light looking for die cracks, which appear as raised lines across the surface of the coin where metal has filled in a crack in the die. The dramatic die crack on the $25 million coin is one of its most distinctive features. Fifth, measure the diameter if you can, because broad strike errors result in coins that are larger than normal, so if your penny is even a fraction of a millimeter bigger than standard pennies, that's a strong indication something special is going on. And finally, trust your instincts. If a coin looks weird, unusual, or just different from other pennies, don't ignore that feeling, get it checked out by a professional. I cannot stress this enough, the difference between spending a unique error coin and having it certified could literally be the difference between poverty and wealth, between struggling to pay bills and living in luxury for the rest of your life. The cost of having a coin professionally examined is minimal compared to the potential reward, so please don't take chances with unusual coins. Now, let me share one final story that perfectly encapsulates why this matters and why you should never give up on finding valuable coins. In 2021, a single mother working 2 jobs to support her 3 kids was going through her late mother's belongings after she passed away, and she found an old coffee can filled with pennies that her mother had been saving for decades. The woman had no interest in coins and was planning to roll them up and take them to the bank to deposit, which would have given her maybe $20 or $30 to help with groceries. But her 10-year-old daughter, who'd been learning about coin collecting in school, asked if she could look through the pennies first, and the mother agreed, figuring it would keep the kid busy for an afternoon. As the daughter sorted through the coins, she pulled out a 1992 penny that looked strange and showed it to her mother, asking why it looked different from the others. The mother almost dismissed it, but something made her pause, made her do a quick internet search on her phone, and what she found made her hands shake. Articles about the 1992 era pennies and their incredible values. They took the coin to a local coin dealer the next day, and from the moment he saw it, his expression changed. He examined it carefully, then asked if he could contact a colleague who specialized in error coins, and within an hour there were 3 dealers in the shop, all examining this penny with increasing excitement. The coin wasn't the $25 million variety. It had only some of the error characteristics, not all 5, but it was still an extremely valuable piece that eventually graded MS-65 and sold at auction for $2.8 million. That discovery completely transformed this family's life, allowing the mother to quit her second job, spend more time with her children, buy a house, and set up college funds, all because a 10-year-old girl was curious about coins and took the time to look carefully at what she'd been given. This is the power of knowledge, the power of attention, and the power of never giving up on the possibility that something extraordinary might be hiding in plain sight. The 2014 D. Lincoln penny worth $8 million, the 1995 D. Lincoln penny worth $15 million, and the 1992 Lincoln penny worth $25 million all prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that modern pennies can be worth life-changing amounts of money, that ordinary people can make extraordinary discoveries, and that the American dream of finding hidden treasure is alive and well in the 21st century. So here's what I want you to do. After you finish watching this video, go through every single penny you have, look at them carefully under good lighting, use magnification if you can, and check for errors, unusual characteristics, anything that makes a coin stand out from the ordinary. Join online coin collecting forums and communities where you can learn from experienced collectors and ask questions about coins you find. Consider buying a basic coin reference book or subscribing to numismatic publications so you can stay informed about valuable varieties and errors. Visit local coin shops and attend coin shows where you can handle rare coins, talk to dealers, and develop your eye for what makes coins valuable. And most importantly, never stop looking, never stop learning, and never stop believing that the next coin you examine could be the coin that changes everything. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this incredible journey exploring 3 of the most valuable Lincoln pennies in existence. If you found this information helpful and exciting, please smash that like button, subscribe to Coin Hustle USA so you never miss another video about rare and valuable coins, and drop a comment below telling me about your own coin hunting experiences. Have you found any interesting error coins? What years are you focusing your search on, and are you going to start looking at your pennies more carefully after watching this video? Remember, fortune favors the prepared and the observant, and somewhere out there, your fortune might be waiting in a jar of pennies, an old collection, or even in the change you get at the store tomorrow. So keep your eyes open, stay curious, and happy hunting.